Thank you so much for being here in the Conscious Union with God class. That sounds like, wow, that's quite a class. Conscious Union with God. Wow, that's so great. So here we are, and today we're looking at chapter 11 of this book, a book by Goldsmith. And the chapter has the title, Seek the Answer Within. And that's very interesting for me as a title, because it's like, yes, we know that we have to look for the answer within. We know that as a concept. And where is our practice with that? Because, hey, we still have questions, or we still have concerns, or we still have, say, doubts, or things we really don't know how to get through, or whatever that is. So it's like, yeah, seek the answer within. It's like we say that to one another. Yeah, you have to look for the answer within. That's where the place where it can be found. It cannot be found anywhere else. So today we take a look at that, how you practice that, how you do that, and what Joel has to tell about that, and what does it entail? What is, like, why does it seem to be not so, say, automatic in that sense? And so we start off, as always, with a more relaxing part, and that is, okay, we come together, we have an opportunity to meet, meeting of minds. We meet here as one mind, and we have the possibility to really connect with one another in a whole different way, in a whole different, like with a whole different quality, so to speak. See, there's light involved in this communication. There's love involved. There's say, relaxation, letting go is involved. Forgiving is involved. And so that's what we practice in the first, say, 5-6 minutes. It doesn't take that long in the end, but it's more like a matter of awareness, like, oh yeah, that's an opportunity. Oh yeah, it's a choice I can make, actually, to relax and let everything go for a moment, to dislodge myself from this world that for a moment I was so occupied in and so, say, so busy with. So in this, say, upcoming 50 minutes or so, we have the opportunity to lay that aside, to breathe into our relaxation instead of trying to force something. Like, no, we're not going anywhere, we're not doing anything. No, this is really about say, receiving, about receptivity, opening yourself up for something new, something creative, something brand new given to us in this moment. So that is always like, well, that didn't happen before. No, this is the only moment you can actually receive that. So all the things that you thought before a moment ago, you let go of that. You don't need that. You put that to rest, so to speak. And you bless it, like, okay, whatever that was, I bless it. I have no idea what to do with it. I don't need it in this upcoming hour. So let's relax deeply into our, say, stillness, and basically open our inner ear, or open our ears and eyes, but the inner ears and eyes to listen. So basically we're practicing where this whole chapter that we're going to take a look at is involved with. We're actually practicing that now. So if it helps, you can close your eyes, you can breathe a little bit, so consciously sigh, or like, okay, that is that. I made it to the class, I made it to this moment, so this is my time for myself to come into a deep contact with who I really am and what is really going on, and say, the fulfillment of my say, being in this moment, and receiving love and light given to me in this moment by your source, as always, but now consciously. And from within, not from without. It's not that the blessing is going to come to you from outside and now you're like the rain out of the sky or something. No, it's also coming from within. So it's an intimate activity that you're performing right now, that you're doing. It's like, no, it's a blessing from me, received by me, and but I'm all included in it. So, and that's a beautiful opportunity. So yeah, relax, and you feel like, oh yeah, that's different. Here's my stillness. Oh, here's light. Here's love. Finally, I can breathe a little bit. Like, oh, so good to be reminded of that I don't have to occupy myself with my, say, so-called world all the time. That I can literally put it down to have a moment like this, in which there doesn't seem to be a goal other than to be. And that doesn't seem to be, a real assignment for me in that moment. So it's literally, whatever needs to come to me will come in this moment. It is not forced. It is not done by my conscious activity or so. Like, no, I come into a state of receptivity, and that actually already makes me feel really good, really relaxed. Also, being open for communication, this knowing that is a possibility, and knowing that is given to us in every moment, that we are consciously aware of it. We will actually recognize it. We actually know that it is there. So here's our meditation. We come into a meditative state. It's like, yes, here we realize that we're connected, that we're all one, that we walk with God, and that we say that our journey here on this planet as we see it is really like a spiritual journey walking back home. And seeing that is my main goal in being here. It's like recognizing where I find myself and deciding that I actually want to go home, that I don't want to linger here and just do things, or do meaningless things, or trying to do something that has nothing to do with the communication that's available for you. So here's our stillness, here's our communication. See, it's starting right now, it's just here. So enjoy that. Take time to breathe that in, literally. Literally you're, coming to life in this. So you can leave all your temporary ideas about longevity or, death or illness, sickness. You can leave all that for what it is and let it all fall apart for a moment. See, that's a great opportunity. You literally are raised from the dead. So that's how easy that is, isn't it? It's not so difficult. Like, no, just allow this alternative to come to you. Receive it, why not? What do you have to lose? Nothing. So what do you feel right now? How does that feel? Coming in touch with this. How does that feel? Is that connected to a specific, place in yourself? Or is it connected to suddenly that you feel light in your head? Or that your heart starts opening up? Or maybe you feel a click or something changes. See, all these subtle changes that you become aware of are really important in discovering what actually your stillness is. And you can practice that now. So you don't have to go far. It's like, no, the answer is within. You don't have to seek for it even. It is like you open yourself up and you receive it. Like, here it is. It is nowhere else. It is not difficult to find. See, the subtle changes that you can perceive are also that you feel that your body has to move. Like, I have that always, like, oh, my body's moving. Oh, that's great. Oh, I start to breathe through my nose. Like, oh, that feels really like I'm breathing light instead of anything else. Like, wow, everything is different in this. So beautiful, so different, you know, but a different quality. And the freedom of it is that you have no idea where this will go to, or you don't even understand what is going on, but it just feels good to do it, to practice it. Yeah, that's lovely. So thank you for that. So this chapter that we're, say, dealing with, it's quite a long chapter. I read it through and I've made a recording, but it's like probably 40 minutes read if you go through it. So there's a lot of specific subjects that are given in it, say facets of the idea of listening and the idea of how are you doing this? Are you doing that with all of your, say, consciousness? So Joel begins with something that I want to read as a start, just to come also into, say, connecting with the text that's been given in the chapter. So on page, I think it was, wrote it down, 161. I want to start with the last, say, part. Every time, page 161, every time we close our eyes in meditation or keep them open and open our ear to hear the still small voice, we place ourselves in a state of receptivity. Each time we do that, we are acknowledging that there is a whole ocean of intelligence, a whole ocean of life and love and truth. And we are opening our consciousness to that inflow. It's like a whole ocean of intelligence. You come there by just being open. That's all. You don't have to know what that is. You don't have to conceptualize what it is. No, it's literally coming to you. A whole ocean of life and love and truth. And we are opening our consciousness to that inflow. So this goes beyond concepts, beyond intelligence, beyond understanding what is going on and how to look at it. So this is how I want to approach this chapter too. It's like, no, there's nothing to do with you trying to understand this and knowing how it works. No, this really comes from the practice, directly from the practice, from your own experience. However subtle the changes are that you are experiencing, one thing for sure, it is your experience of yourself. See, and here, with how we come together, I know we're like an advanced class. We've come together before. This is not the first time that we listen to one another. This is not the first time that we meet. So, and that means also, like, there's a part of us that is like, you accepted certain facts. For instance, one of them is that you know that you have to look within to find, say, that ocean of life and love. And we're practicing not to look for that outside ourselves anymore, not expecting that to come from the world or from the ones that we're with, or who knows what kind of idea you hold about it. Now you learn to go within, to have this ocean, say, to be overwhelmed by this ocean of love and life. So that is an important part of it too. You know where to find. You don't see yourself completely, like you cannot see yourself as say separated from God anymore. You can feel yourself like that for moments, absolutely, but step by step we come to the recognition that there isn't, say, God in us, that we are completely connected to that, and that we want to experience that connection, that communication. That's basically what we agreed to together when joining this class, or when joining together. See, and Joel describes this here as an illumined mind would be a mind that is not aware of this union with God. Now, an illumined mind is really sees itself as being separate from God. Then, it's not that we have to change those who don't believe or who don't experience this way. Now, this is all about you coming to the recognition and also coming into the experience of the connectedness with your source, with your stillness, with your light and love, and allowing yourself to have a full-blown experience of that, like sinking deeper into that opportunity, allowing that closer and closer to come to you, so that it will be, say, overwhelmingly there for you. So that is, like you said, your steps on the way to the illumination of your mind, to let your mind be illumined by light and love, and not, say, entertaining ideas of separation. That's really how that is. So in our meditation, like Joel says here, we come into a state of receptivity, just like we practiced a moment ago. So in this state of receptivity is something really where you can, say, come back to all the time. So in the moments that you walk in the world and you lose yourself in your preoccupation, like you're completely consumed by something and really hoping for something good to come out of that, you can stop. You have the choice to stop and come back to this inner place where you recognize, oh yes, wait a minute, oh God, I was replacing God with all kinds of idols or things that I thought that would give me the fulfillment I was looking for, and I'm not going to hold on to that. I'm going to let that idea go. So this is just one of the steps that we're talking about. So let's see, in the chapter, here's, say, 162. Our existence must be a state of receptivity, continually opening consciousness and maintaining our consciousness open for it to come through. Do not limit it. Do not finitize it. Do not think it has to come through a perfect person, or through a certain book, or through a particular teaching. It may appear to you as a person or as a book, but if you are keeping your mind unlimited and your consciousness open, the book that meets every need for you today may be outmoded tomorrow, or the next day, or the next year. And you may be reading a whole new book. If you will just keep your consciousness open, there will be a new message, a new flow, continually. This is not true only for books, it's also, but of the body. There's no reason why the body should ever lose its vitality and vigor. If it does deteriorate, it is for the same reason that the Niagara Falls would ultimately dry up if there were no Lake Erie behind it. If Niagara Falls did not draw upon Lake Erie, it would not last very long. So also, if you and I began to using all our knowledge and all our physical strength without drawing upon a source, we would be soon entirely depleted. Yeah, that's for sure. It's like, yeah, absolutely. So you don't want to do that. So you end up coming to the end of your ideas if they are not connected to source. They will not be helpful for you. No, they literally will exhaust you. But see, now I'm actually using the words of Joel directly for the expression of it. It's like, okay, yeah, but how does this work in practice then? How does this look in my day-to-day experience of myself? See, the thing is that you become more and more aware that you are connected with everything that is. See, even during your day. And some great plan is working for you, reminding you of certain things while you do them still, maybe, but knowing at the same time that you don't have to do them. So it's like a continuous help is available for you to recognize, like, oh my God, I'm doing it again and I don't have to do it. So then, of course, still it's up to you to decide not to do it. That still is the same. Like, you still have a free will to delay as much as you want. To delay this coming back, returning to the place where you actually feel your connection with Source and feel that you're rejuvenated or revitalized by just letting that come to you. In the practice of it, it is really staying close to your feelings, staying close to how you experience yourself during the day. See, and you can say, like, staying present in the moment. That's how I experience it. It's like you stay present here in the moment. You know what you feel. Like you stay in touch with how you feel and how things are changing when something occurs. See, and then the tendency of many of us, and I recognize myself doing that sometimes too, is like you run ahead of yourself. You already are busy somewhere there with a great idea that got your attention, and now you're going for it. At the same time, missing the connection with yourself in the sense that you feel that you're sliding off, you're sliding off from your happiness, coming into some kind of like force. You wanna really push through this time. You wanna see that it will be accomplished or whatever it is. See, but it's always connected to your ideas, to your feelings, actually, to the subtle changes in you that you feel that you're losing your comfort, you're losing your rest, your stillness. Now it is a bit foggy then suddenly. So that is very useful during your day to stay aware of that, because then to return back to, say, clarity and happiness and lightfulness, of lightness, or whatever word we can come up with, is then easier than if you dive deep into a distraction or deeply into trying to get something accomplished with a lot of effort. So that's also good to remember. Okay, so then he has a couple of descriptions about an illumined treatment. An illumined treatment never stops. So this is on page 163. An illumined treatment never stops. Many years ago, I wrote that an illumined treatment, once given, operates throughout the rest of time until its work is done. There's no such thing as a treatment understood ever stopping, because a correct treatment is the Word of God. If you ever hear the Word of God, rest assured that the Word of God will continue to act until your healing takes place, whether you receive the healing that minute, the next day, or the next year. So that's great, because I see this as not even only connected to treatment, but even to your appearance. Like the fact that you say, express yourself in a certain way has great effect. I can see this in relationships that I've had, or in contexts that I had. Like once someone hears something, you cannot not hear it anymore. You know, it's like, no, that will stay with you. Literally, truth is correcting all of that. That has nothing to do with me as a person, or with me as the, say, practitioner, or whatever. No, it has to do with the truth. Like the truth literally is the healing principle behind all of this. And of course the effect is going to be healing, because it is all powerful. So, but that can be that even in relationships, for instance, that if you want to deny this to yourself, you can, but you will, say, encounter it, you will come up with it, or you will be reminded of it all the time, maybe even by the same person, even though you don't exchange any words with them, but still they say they actually are showing themselves like that, like they stay as a symbol for that. So that's really interesting too. So you don't even have to be present with them in order for that to happen. So the truth will correct the errors in your mind. You know, it's like you literally, this is literally happening. So the Illumined treatment, so to speak, is then an idea from outside of this human frame of reference came to you, and it touched you. Whether you're going to deny that immediately or whether you're going to accept it immediately is up to you. So it may take some time. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. As soon as you're ready to receive that idea, you will receive it, because you actually carry it with you. So that is great. So that's the same with the idea of seeking the answer within. As long as you're seeking, you don't necessarily find it. But if you want to hear that, you want to hear the voice for God, the still small voice speaking to you, you want to open yourself up to be so receptive that you actually can receive it, then you also see that it had the consequences that you gave space for it, for you to receive it. You know, that you literally didn't want anything else but that. So that's great. But it will work anyway. So there's, in eternity, there's no time, so to speak. So there's, in that sense, the delay is only for you. Like you literally borrow time from heaven, so to speak, to stay in your uncertainty, or to stay in your misery if you want. You can do that as long as you want, but it's not going to change, because you actually have heard it, what's been said. Okay, so here we go into, say, almost like a practitioner training in that sense. And you see on page 164, on the third paragraph, in spiritual healing, recognize that error does not exist as a reality, no matter in what form it appears. Sin, disease, lack, limitation. When the problem is presented to you, do not resist it, do not deny it, or affirm it, but take the attitude of non-resistance, a divine indifference. Not putting up a mental wall against it, not trying to overcome it, not trying to deny it. Let your attitude be one of freedom from fear, a realization that you do not have to resist a mirage, that you are not going to separate tracks or lift the sky off the mountain. So in spiritual healing, the first sentence, in spiritual healing, recognize that error does not exist as a reality, no matter in what form it appears. Error does not exist as a reality. See, and basically, if you look at how you spend your day, basically you take the form that you see serious, continuously. You know, it's like you continuously think that the form is really the form. And And that is the hardest part in this, undoing, if you want. The hardest part is to see things for what they are. Nothing is what it appears to be. Nothing. Like totally nothing. So that makes it easy if you can carry that with you. It's like nothing what I see appear, like it is not what I think that it is. It is not what I perceive it as. It is not that. It has to be something else. See, as soon as you define it or say that is it, that's going on, I know how to respond to that, this is going on, then you are caught in your own imagination, literally. So you miss out on the guidance to see it in a different way, or to stay open to receive the information that you can receive by direct communication. Basically, you say like, no, I don't want to communicate with God. I already know what's going on. It's like that. So you can say that's really like ignorance. It really is. But see, the thing is that you have to recognize for yourself is that you continuously take the form as a reality. Really think it is it, that something is in your way, or something is becoming a problem, or something is you think that you have to prepare yourself for a certain situation just because you perceive it that way. See, and you will not experience the freedom that's being offered in this chapter and in this teaching, in this moment that we come together. You're literally missing it then. That's the same as this class. It's like, it's not about the form that you listen and I'm sharing some words with you. No, it has nothing to do with this form. So we meet in a whole different place that has nothing to do with these appearances. So this is literally like a possibility to receive that information from outside of this human frame of reference. So that is good to be aware of, because you can literally use it everywhere you go. So, and then having that as a practice, you see that the answer is given to you continuously, that you can stay present in this moment, not being distracted by any kind of form. But see, don't want to make it too difficult. Don't want to make it look like, well, I never can do that. No, not at all. So this is just going step by step. It is just like we shared a moment ago. As soon as you receive these words, so to speak, they stay with you, and that has an healing effect. You will come to the point where actually going to experience this, and it might be sooner than you think. It's like it goes quicker than you think, all of this. It really is. I speak from deep experience in that. It's like, it's unbelievable how well this works. It's unbelievable. And the opportunities are all, increasing your joy and connectedness. And also the speed of the occurrences is totally changing by this. What I mean with that is there are certain things that you don't have to do anymore. You don't have to come in all kinds of situations in order to practice this. If you really are open to receive the answer for yourself and see it literally disappear, see it literally being dissolved, dissolved for you or solved for you. Oh yeah, so Joe has here some examples with regarding healing. That's in the paragraph just below what we just were reading. It is as if Jesus were facing a man with a withered arm and saying, "Stretch forth thine hand." What would make it possible for him to say that to a man with a withered arm, or to a cripple, "Arise and walk"? It would only have been because his whole life had been a continuous recognition that there was nothing to hinder this man. There was no presence or power in the arm or leg or in the back that had anything to do with his rising and picking up his bed and walking. Now, if someone asks you for help, instead of reacting with, what do I think about this? What do I know? It isn't true. It isn't real. Instead of responding like that, try to understand what I mean when I tell you to smile, because you know that you are being presented with a mirage, and that all you have to do is to recognize that it is a mirage. Christ consciousness does not resist error. It does not recognize error as a power. Absolutely. So this is really practice. I think that's why we are in so many situations where that seems to be like a problem seems to be there, or like an issue seems to be there. And as soon as you see it for what it is, you see it also dissolve. But if you're taking it seriously as a fact or as a real thing, then you're caught in it. And we talk about this a lot. We practice this a lot too. You know, it's like the undoing of all of that is really the practice that we're in. It's like not being fooled by appearances, not taking form. Yeah, like staying with the idea like nothing is what it seems. Okay, so in page 166, because we have so much choice today. As we go into the higher revelations of the Master, the power of silence is this. As we go into the higher revelations of the Master, we shall find that it is not necessary to voice thoughts, to use mental might or physical power. We learn that there is within us a divine presence, an infinite power, which does much more for us than we can do for ourselves, and which operates most effectively in silence. When a practitioner can arrive in his own consciousness at a place of absolute silence, at a place where he is completely a listening ear, in that flash, it needed only be one blink of an eye. Anything that ever was wrong on earth can be healed. Well, that is a great statement, isn't it? Like, wow, that's how powerful that is. Unbelievable, right? That's unbelievable, but it is what Joel shares with us. It's like, yeah, absolutely. Just one moment of completely letting your stillness be, so to speak, and you see that shifts everything, that changes everything. But now the practice, so how do we get to this moment? Like, how does that happen? See, and then there's always the two parts that are connected with it. One part is then not to pick up any ideas about what you think is going on, creating that space in your mind where suddenly this can appear, literally, this can happen to you. And seeing that is working 100%, that you really, literally have nothing to add to that. The attractive power of spirit. Okay, here we go. That's on page 168. In the infinite invisible, there are ties between us. There's a tie between God, the universal life and being, and its individual expression, which we call individual man and woman. As we become aware of this universal life, we begin to find those who belong to our spiritual demonstration. We begin to find those who are on our level of consciousness. We find those, even though they may never have heard of truth in any form, who may be necessary to our demonstration of the moment. In other words, there's an invisible force acting on inner plane, attracting us to people and experiences necessary to our unfoldment. And all this happens without our taking thought, without planning it in any way. Okay, so we say this, we said this before too, it's like that's beautiful. Like, you see that everything is going to be used for your transformation. So you're in the right place. Everything is perfectly orchestrated. You come in touch with the ones that you need to come in touch with, or you need to be by yourself as much as you need to be by yourself. Like, all of that is perfectly arranged. It will change by itself. It doesn't need your planning, or it doesn't need your adjusting it. You know, it's like, no, that will be given to you. It will naturally happen to you. It will be inevitable that's going to happen. Like this perfect plan that is taking place that I was referring to in the beginning. There's a perfect plan and it's working really well. So that is not your concern in all of this. So then also in discovering to listen, the way to listen to the inner voice or to the answer within is also being orchestrated for you, that you will come to that. So it's like, just stay with your practice. Just do what you have to do for your practice. Like meditate, take your time for quiet time. And also have this active, say, receptivity activated in you. Let that happen during your day. Take time to just break with what you're doing. Just to have this as a conscious healing episode in your awakening. You can literally do that. You can receive that in the way that you want. You can also decide to be completely distracted by the world and stay in your resistance to this. You know, that works too. Even that works. That's the amazing thing. Like, that is not necessarily a delay at all. So, in other words, you have nothing to say about it, how this is going to be unfold in you. And that is, I think, the total beauty of it. You know, so it's not your concern. You can be as aware of it as you want. You can be open to receive it. That's really great. That's super great. You know, that works for yourself. Oh yeah, and he has this example of a person passing. Like, yeah, this is also familiar. You know this, like some of us, have this transition happening, like letting go of this earthly plane. In the moment, even when they pass on, they come to the realization of the truth of all of this. And see, it is not limited to, you have to hear it, say, when you're 30 or when you're 40 or 80 or whatever your age is. No, it really does not matter. That has to do with when you are ready to hear this in whatever way, in whatever circumstances that you can hear this, that you literally start to come into the realization of this for yourself. That is all that was necessary. Whether you've been meditating for 30 years or for 30 seconds, if you come to this realization, that is all that's being, say, asked for, so to speak. That's all that happens, really. So some get it by doing the study, by taking time to repeat this, to read the books, to read all the books, and to come to every meeting, and to, all of that. Some of it as a spontaneous experience just happening to them. It appears that it's happening to them just like that. And still others see it in the moment that they actually are in the passing over and leaving this, say, earthly existence behind. They suddenly come to realize the truth about themselves. Well, that's wonderful. That's lovely. So Joel gives some examples here, and I'm going to leave that for what it is for now. But see, it is good to realize that, and that's what I was referring to. In fact, was like, there's a perfect plan. It's like you have heard things that otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this video, like, or being in this class. No, you have heard something, so it's too late for you. You already got in touch with this, and you can practice this as much as you want. You can have this being realized. Like, that will happen. You trusting the perfect plan that is working you. Also, there's a reason for discussing immortality. Joel says on page 172, the only reason I'm discussing immortality and pre-existence is so that when you go into your meditation, you do not limit yourself to something you already understand humanly. Turn within and ask for the revelation of the laws of God. Those laws which were given before Abraham and which will be until the end of the world. You will then begin to understand yourself and your place in God's scheme. Do any of you believe that you came on earth just to go to school, get married and raise a family and die? Such a program leaves out the whole idea of God. No matter how happy and how harmonious your human experiences may be, could that really be God's plan for His creation? Is not that really too insignificant to credit to deity? No, turn within and meditate on your individual place in God's plan. What is God's plan for the spiritual universe? What is God's plan for this world? The only legitimate answer can come from within your own being, because it concerns your place in that scheme. It concerns your place in life. Nobody out here in the outer world will ever find his spiritual place unless he has it revealed to him from within, unless he receives from within the impulse that gradually leads him to that place. See, and this is where Joel ends the chapter with, and I love that. So it's like referring to and pointing at your individual experience. It's really about your experience. It has nothing to do with anyone else in that sense. Like, that seems to be egotistically, but no, it's really like you're, say, appointed to receive this for yourself. That's why it's worth to take whatever you, to do whatever you need to do in order to receive that, and take time for that. Like, the world will never be ready to give that to you in that sense. It is always like, it might always be like kind of disturbing or whatever. It's like, well, it's just what happens for me. It really doesn't matter what anyone is thinking about it. No, it's completely up to me how I feel that I have to do this, taking my main focus serious in that sense, or giving it space to have it be unfold and shown to me. And whatever I need to do for that, whether that's humanly like familiar or accepted or whatever, it really doesn't matter. Like the same as when you read in the Bible about Jesus, how he was taking time for things like to stay by himself in the desert for 40 days, or taking time to not be in the crowd, but just taking time to be with himself and pray with his Father, like stay in communion, in direct communication with God. See, it's really up to you. That's all that matters. And of course, I'm saying that to myself too. It's great to when you take time, even though it seems to be like, well, there's a bit of a weird time, like maybe in the middle of the night you wake up and suddenly you find yourself sitting on a couch in your living room, having a beautiful communication going on, because it's at that point, at that moment, it is possible for you to receive that. Well, take time for it, even though it might all not seem to work in your human schedule, but it really does not matter. It's like, it really doesn't matter how this looks. So to give in to the freedom that you have in doing this, you see that basically the whole universe is supporting you in every step. So that's really lovely about that. So then the subtlest changes in which you feel something release, in which you feel something change, in which you feel something falling off your shoulder, is like golden time. It's really golden time. So that asks for more. And that's what it will be. So thank you for letting me share this with you. And I'm really happy that you joined in this class. I love you and I thank you. Thank you so much.